who wants to start? Like, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to the mountain in the first place.
I guess I will.
Yay! Go, Jennifer.
Uh, what brought me to the mountain? The mountain brought me to the mountain. It is hearing the call. Um, when I first heard the call, I had no idea what I was hearing. I had no idea what I was feeling. I didn't understand it at all. Um, I was completely blocked off spiritually, so I thought I was going crazy,
Mm.
you know. But I asked people like, "Have you ever felt called?" They're like, "No, no." And finally, I had Uh, one friend said that it, he said he's never felt that, but if that's what I was feeling, I should really answer it.
Mm.
And at the time, I didn't know how to answer it. And it's more in my story, but I ended up going to the doctor and everything to like see if something was going on, and they told me it was anxiety and gave me medication.
Mm.
So um, it didn't stop the call. I'll tell you that. It didn't stop the call, but it I didn't answer it. I felt in time, or of course that's not right because it's all divine.
It's all divine time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't answer it because I wasn't ready and I had too much stuff going on in my life that I couldn't walk away from. Um, and then a few years later, I saw a picture of her and that feeling came right back and I knew
Mm.
that's what was calling me and I
Mm.
had to come here. I had to come here. So yeah, I got here and I came on a vacation and within 3 months I lived here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
But, wow.
amazing.
Yeah, it was like, oh, I have to go. I wasn't quite sure because I was open. I was really on my journey, just really, I was doing grid work as you do, Melanie. I'm not sure what you do tomorrow, but I know like I was going around doing grid work wherever I was called to go, anchoring the energies that were coming through. And so about 3 months I was on the road and I was open to landing wherever I was supposed to land, and this was where I was supposed to land. I
Mm.
landed in 2017
Wow.
or I apologize, 2018. Yeah.
Well, that's so, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, I just remember when I got back from my big Earth Grid journey, out of the country, I came back and I guess it was May 2023, and you were leading this incredible temple and hosting incredible journeys. And one of my, dear teachers here on the mountain, Makuikwa, she teachers and friends, I'll say, she offers this journey to Talos, and you're hosting it at your temple. And and then hearing you're going to be part of the book, and then I mean, just our synchronicities and crossings, like you being part of this, spontaneous day out of time ceremony at Panther Meadows, right? This past July. I mean, you guys should have seen Jennifer. She came in with the robes on. I had no idea. I had this, I mean, if you go listen to our Keith and I just chat about our unfoldments, he was also part of that ceremony, and you came in, and I just remember people saying, like, we thought she was an apparition. We thought that she was like a master that like came into the physical, because and I was like, whoa, okay, this woman. You can hold some space. It's incredible, this woman, Jennifer, what she's able to do and who she's being asked to be here in Mount Shasta. You're working for Mount Shasta Vortex Tours, and I know you would never pump yourself up. That's why I'm doing it for you. Um, You precious, precious woman. Thank you so much for being here on this Triple Goddess call for this book. And yeah, Tamara, do you want to, or Tamara, do you want to tell us what you're all about? I want to hear because
Ah,
Tamara and I haven't really met so much. We don't know what each other about. Jennifer.
right. And just hearing Jennifer's story, like I started to tear up because there was so much that I could relate to. So much. I really thought that I was going crazy. And I also, um, what I describe in the chapter is just holding the tension of not answering the call for so long and watching the call get stronger, which didn't feel so good in the body, didn't feel good in my heart, didn't feel good in my mind. And then finally just saying, I'll go. And so I traveled, let's see, in the past 13 months, 15 months now. I went back and forth from northern Wisconsin to Mount Shasta a total of 9 times.
Mm.
And I thought it would be a one and done. Like, all right, I did the thing. I don't know why I did the thing, but it gave me relief and it also gave me more access to myself and connection to source. And so I thought that was that. And then she kept calling back more and more and more. And so it's been very humbling, very, very humbling. And so I just moved here full time, what, 3 days ago, two and
Oh
a
my
half days
goodness.
ago. And so there's this feeling of like, okay, I did it. Now what?
Oh,
I know.
Uh, and it
And
doesn't make any sense. When I share it with other people, I mean, I've had family members disown me, and accuse me of certain things, and it's like I'm under no obligation to make sense, to others, and especially if they're not on the path. And it breaks my heart to even say that because there's love there, obviously. Um, but to show up in faith and just surrender and just to keep saying yes and be in service. And I love the fact that there's three of us here holding space for one another, because really that book is more of it, just more expansion
Mhm.
into amplifying the message of Mount Shasta, to amplify the message of, like your friend did for you. Like, if you feel that calling, answer it. Have faith, trust. And so I'm hoping that our messages of, receiving messages and knowing that it's safe to answer, and that's where the magic is, within that, the unknowing, but the deep knowing at the same time. There's so much beauty there. As maddening as it can feel at times, there's
Mhm.
so much beauty there. And I love hearing about the grid work because, as fellow authors, I don't know a lot of you. And so I love learning about each of you. And I was also called to do some more grid work recently. And again, it takes so much faith to just step out there and just to declare that you're seeing something that might not be seeable to everybody else, but you
Yeah.
feel it so deeply, and you could see it, and know the importance that it has. I'm loving all this connection, so thank you for letting me
Oh.
share.
Well, and I think you nailed it, just about sharing how important it is to listen to those inner messages. And I think our book is really rooted in that. I think probably everybody's story is about how to follow the breadcrumbs that Spirit's guiding you towards the path, and how to really listen, and like the benefit that comes from it, the hardship that comes from it, the challenge that comes from it. And I have a similar story where, gracious be that my mom has, not wanted to give up our relationship and therefore has had to come with me. But it
Mhm.
hasn't been easy, because every time I up level, I'm like, let's go. And it's not in a direct way, but it's like this kind of pressure that she receives in her life where she has to get off the television for a minute and like listen in to like what's her guidance. And um my dad and I, can't speak anymore because he wants to call me crazy and he wants to, say that I've lost my head. And I'm literally being surrounded by people that are talking to me like I'm the most grounded and spiritually aligned person. So there's so much dissonance in that. And how do we work with that and deal with that in our own space? It's so curious. And I like,
It's tricky.
how do
Mm.
you, and how to stay in love. It's been my greatest teachings. I will call my father my greatest teacher 100 times over because he taught me how to be even more compassionate, and also protect my boundaries, and so like that's deep lessons. So I'm grateful, I'm grateful. And I think these stories, we haven't even read each other's stories yet. This is just like, we're excited about this grouping together and emanating the power of this heart of the root chakra of the planet. Like we really are just interested in like beaming that as a community. And it's so powerful, like, because the other thing you said, Tamara, was just about, um, you know, we can feel it really. I didn't think you said that. I'm paraphrasing or I'm gleaning what you said and kind of turning it into my own words, but I'm just noticing like, many of us have been really alone on this path and we feel really isolated. And then Dr. Nisa Mills bringing us together to write together and to like start to, you know, build some energy around what this release is about. It is building community, and that is our saving grace moving into the new earth is actually our community. I was contemplating it today, like what is it? What happens if all the power goes out? What's your currency? Your currency is your relationships. And if you don't have like these amazing relationships and you haven't been listening to the relationship that's the most important, which is your heart, um, I think there's going to be some loss, some people really lost. And I don't need to go into that, but I'm just grateful for your share, and it brought up a lot for me as both
Mm.
of you shared, and I was
Melanie,
feeling really grateful.
what brought you to Mount Shasta?
Yeah, I mean, I was living in the Bay Area, and I was training to become a somatic psychotherapist, which was already big heart leap. Um, because early on I went from like engineering to dance in my undergrad because my parents were getting divorced. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter to them. Like, they don't care about me. Like, I don't care about them. I'm going to do what I want. And I got my undergrad in dance. And then I knew that, just being a kind of starving artist, and it wasn't kind of all it was about. I really wanted to learn about what was going on with the healing that I was experiencing from being in my embodiment in these
Mm.
classes. And so that's when I went to study somatic psychotherapy and living in the Bay Area. I had heard about Mount Shasta somehow. I don't remember how. Um, but I had created like a girls' weekend. And we came up here and we were kind of like doing the search of like, what could we do? And we ended up finding the Mount Shasta Pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mount Shasta Pyramid was, like very brand new because it was like 2009 or 10. Like they had just opened that thing. Yeah, it must have been 2010. They had just opened that, the 999 activation, September 9th, 2009. And so it was pretty brand new. And anyways, we went in there and felt how powerful that was. And then we had a super loop-de-loo night after that where we were, my friends anyways, friends of friends knew about a house that we could rent. This is like before really the Airbnb, thing. And So we rented that space and had a bonfire. And I remember we were drinking some wine after this huge activation, around the bonfire. We were singing like one Joni Mitchell song over and over again. And I went to go get some more wood and I got lost in the manzanitas.
That's weird.
And I realized, like, oh, there's some weird stuff going on here. Like, I was attuned enough. And from there, I actually just kept feeling the call to come up more and more and more. And so I've known this is my soul home for a long time. But like I said, I got called to do, well, working with Antar and Omran, who are stewards of the Mount Shasta pyramid, and their Center for Soul Evolution. I started really being called to land, and they had a land healing project that they were stewarding. And so, yeah, I started getting involved in that. And once I started doing some North American sites, um, I was like, oh man, I'm getting called out of the country. So I started to do those, and by 2018, actually, is when I got the call to just drop everything in San Francisco. Like I shut my office down and I shut my practice down, and I just went with a complete surrender to spirit to guide me where I need to go. And I went to India, studied with a teacher of mine there in Rishikesh, and I could not stop running into this woman who's this Egyptian American woman. And she was like, you should come to Egypt with me. And I was like, whoa, I thought that was like 10, 15, 20 years in the future. And so Egypt kind of kicked everything off. And I ended up going to all the major chakras of the planet. So when I came back to Mount Shasta, I was like, whoa, like I'm just so glad to be recharged by the mountain. But I didn't think that I was going to live here. I was like committed to the backpacker life, and ready to just continue the journey. I was going to road trip for 4 months around the states and just check out the grids. And lo and behold, this house just grabbed me and said, no, we want you here. We want you here and grounding and stabilizing. And I was like, okay, next level. This is, 180, complete 180 from the life I was living. But now I get it. I'm meant to ground the teachings that I have. I'm meant to alchemize the teachings first and then actually teach the teachings I've gathered and hold space for people in their soul evolution. So that's where we're at.
Beautiful.
Ah! It's a big roller coaster, let me tell you. Like it triggers all of my fears and all of my, imposter syndrome stuff. Like it's not and to have community is really a saving grace because like Jennifer, like when I, talk to Jennifer, it's like, oh my gosh, here we are,
We made
right?
how we got here. Yeah.
That's how we got here.
It's been really, I was just at the pyramid yesterday by myself. I love
Oh,
it. It was so powerful to just, and it was later in the evening. So it was so beautiful and powerful. And I had an amazing experience. Like, and since it was later, of course, all night, you know, it was awesome. Um, I love that pyramid. I came here when I first came here on vacation. I I had I went to the journey to Telos with Makwa, and what a profound experience, right? Uh, that is. And during that, I knew, and as I was traveling, because I was car camping, doing the whole um the grid work, just listening to spirit. I just doing whatever, wherever I was like, turn left. Okay, I'm turning left. You want me to get off here and do this? Okay, here I go. I even remember being sent to uh, it was so funny, a store called Ross, which they're around here, I think too. But it was in Tampa, Florida. And it was so like, just the denseness I'm like, you want me to go here? And I went in there and just did some clearing and activation. Like, okay, it's it's really a profound experience just listening here. You need to go here and do some clearing or anchor this energy and do whatever it is that we're doing, right? Um, it's an honor to be able to do, you know, I tell everybody the angels are my coworkers, right? That we're working together. They need us because we're physical here on the ground. We're boots on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that whole journey of being in trust and flow, just listen, um, and being brought back here and being an anchor. I'm a rose gold anchor, and I know I'm anchoring that frequency, the rose gold frequency here,
Mm-hmm.
into the mountain for her, for for the collect. Um, is an honor. It's an honor, and it's something that I never could have imagined myself doing. Even being in that ceremony on the day out of time, which I was, I, I I got it last minute. You know, it wasn't something that I planned, um, but I knew like I was probably an hour late, right? But everybody was doing their own thing, having their own vision quest. But I remember getting there, and it was like I had to hold the space. There was a space I needed to hold, and just bringing this energy and going in. And I felt like an apparition. So I was just, it was so powerful and so magical. And it was really quite the experience to have at Panther, you know, just being part of that without being part of it. It was so weird. It was like I was part of it, not knowing I was part of it. I went there, I was going there anyways to do my own ceremony. And then it was like, oh, here, let's do this. And it just happened. And it's these divine appointments, right? I've had these. I've literally walked up at other magical spots on the mountain, and all of a sudden, like I'm walking behind this group. I'm like, what's happening here? You know, and all of a sudden we're doing this amazing ceremony and anchoring these energies all together. Like it's like, and we don't even plan it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this mountain works. It's like, oh, you're going here. Okay, I'm on my way. And then all of a sudden you're in a group and you're doing this work and anchoring in this energy and holding this space. And it's really powerful because it shows how in tune we all are, that we just meet randomly and it's not random at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
An appointment, that we're answering the call and we're listening, and it's like, oh, you want me to go here right now? Okay. You know, I've literally, when I got home, um I was just visiting, so I was very last minute to the book, and I was going to visit my children. I already had the, you know, my tickets and everything planned, and I had to write my chapter while I was there because it was due. So I had like 2 days to write it, and it was really profound. Like it just came through, right? Because she wrote it. That's how I feel. It was my story, but it was like, this is what you need to share. And how we were talking about like what made us answer the call. Mama Mountain, Mama Shasta.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I was really resisting it, which is why I was so late. I was not late because I'm always on time. It's always divine right timing. And her asking me, you know, you have to be a voice for me, is what made, is
Oh.
what is, you need, you're a voice for me. And like, what an honor to get that from her. I was on a tour, and it's for Shasta Vortex Adventures, is who what me and Dan and Ashlyn, like, this beautiful, we hold this container right there. And I was on a tour and she came through like, no, you're going to be a part of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. You
Mm-hmm.
want your voice? Oh my God, goddess, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's how it seems like that everything is just flowing. Like I got to anchor in the temple, She of a Thousand Angels Temple and Wellness Center, which is a temple for Mary Magdalene and the divine feminine Christ consciousness.
Mm.
Um, that rose gold frequency balancing the divine feminine Christ with the divine masculine Christ. And everything just falls into place. Um, I realized before I even got here, I think it was 2016, 2017, I was working this job and I learned everything I needed to actually get a job. I was the director of operations for Power Organics. It's a superfood company, but that's the property where I ended up opening the temple. And when I walked in there, I was just gonna, help somebody with some back work that wasn't done. And no, it was like all of a sudden I was running the company, and then within a year I was opening the temple.
Mm.
Spirit really was just like anchored in however you see it. That's what you need to do. So I anchored it in. I learned what I was supposed to learn, and now I know. I don't want to say I'm waiting or searching, but I know it's coming in. The temple is coming in, the one that is supposed to be here, because that was a learning place, and
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing. And then when that was done, I went to Shasta Vortex Adventures, and I realized I'm on this next um, mission or part of my journey. Like this is something, another call I have answered, and in doing and everything I've done, like when I was coming here, like I know it's like I can just feel I answer the call. It's a clarion call, right, that we receive. And I feel like I'll always answer that call.
Mm-hmm.
So when she said to be in the book, and when she said to start guiding people on the mountain, and I take them on journeys, and the work that I'm doing with them, it's so deep. And it doesn't matter where they're at on their journey, because we go to the next level wherever they're at. And being able to guide people to that and just follow my heart's journey, my heart's path, my heart's knowing, and the connection that I have with this, with Mama Shasta, with the mountain, with the goddess, with Gaia, bringing this all in and together. It's like, oh, this is another initiation. I don't know what's next or how it's going to come, but I'm just taking the steps, one step at a time.
Mm.
Powerful and profound, because literally I have seen I've been in places on this journey that I've just trusted, just okay, I'm just trusting. Feel kicking and screaming, but trusting.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'll see like, oh, that happened because I was supposed to be here. And if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in that resistance and kicking and screaming, like, no, why? I don't want to do this, or what's happening. Now I can literally see, like, okay, uh, I don't know why this is happening right now, but I know I'll know soon.
Yes.
Figure it out later. No, part of it, I trust it. I trust it. I trust it. I trust it.
I love your bravery and how, like, in your sharing, I'm like, yes, 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 because we are rewarded when we show up, and that's been one of the hardest things for me, is showing up and allowing myself to be seen, to be heard, um, and one of the grid work, so again, like I'm coming from like the Midwest where we apologize just for like walking around someone, like, oh, excuse me,
Totally.
sorry.
I'm from the
And
We're all from the Midwest, actually. Do you know? I'm from Michigan. You're from Wisconsin and
Ohio, Cleveland.
Ohio.
okay, so so I don't need to explain this to either of you. Like to be yourself is an act of rebellion.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting braver. And that's what the book is showing me. It's like, all right, here we go. We're gonna be brave and share and do the things. And in the grid work, I was shown to arrive at the Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this was in April, this past April. And I was shown exactly how to arrive. And I fought it so hard, so hard. I'm like, here I am. I'm obviously not native. I cannot even pass for native, right? And then they want me to show up. And then when I say they, spirit, my guides, and they had me even carrying this staff. Okay, so here we are, like showing up, walking with the staff, and doing this grid work. It was just to take whatever was allowed to go through the staff and into the earth, and to connect it to different points in the world. And I had so many people come up to me and say, all right, where'd you get that staff? Because I was shown to get one for myself as well. But I didn't know where, and I didn't know how, and I was freaked out. And it was enough just to show up. I was like, I understand. I get it, totally get it. So again, like answering the call, no matter how weird it sounds or looks or how uncomfortable it might be, I can guarantee you there are others that are getting a similar calling to do similar work, because we cannot do it by ourselves. We are not meant to do it by ourselves. Like we're meant to show up, be brave. I don't know how many times I got called, was it Gandalf? Walking around with a big old staff. And I was like, hi, like, yep. I just want to crawl into a hole, essentially. Like it's that uncomfortable for me to show up and take up that much space. But we're meant to get braver and braver and braver. It's not, for me, it's not for the attention. It's to be in service. It's to see how much energy we can hold as individuals and connect through with others and the earth. And oh, it's so trippy. That's all I can say. It's just so beautiful and magical. And the more we say yes to it, the more magic unfolds. So I hope that there are others that can resonate, and it, whether it's reading the chapters from these books, the book that we're doing, or listening to these interviews that all the authors are doing. Like I hope it makes them feel braver, because that's what I needed. I needed to be like, yeah, it's okay to be brave. It's all right. It's okay. It might not make logical sense, but if the call is so deep within you and your body is vibrating with it, if your heart is so activated by what you're receiving, the energy, the messaging, the guidance, then it's safe. It's good. It's expansive to say yes and to keep showing up. One more thing I want to touch upon is the amount of faith that it takes for each of us authors to sign up for a book and not know what each other has written, and just to have that faith that it's all going to come together. And it's not even just come together. We need each other. Our stories need one another, because we just are amplifying each other and the messaging from the mountain. So I'm so grateful to be a part of it and to know both of you. I can feel the love. There's just this understanding of love, and it's wonderful to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Tamara. I mean, it's so exciting that you just got here and we get to build in community
Exactly.
yeah, and we're building this bigger, greater community with who knows where this book is going to take us, but we all did feel the call. And like you, Jennifer, I was a last minute kind of in on this, and I had so much resistance. Talk about kicking and screaming. My inner, psyche was battling. And finally, as I was doing all this work with mantras, I just was like, I'm going to put on Saraswati mantra 108 times and just put it on repeat and just sit down and do this thing. And this chapter just streamed 4,000 words, just streamed over the course of a few hours. And I looked back on it and I barely had to make any edits. And I felt that was how it's going to come through. And I felt that was the only way that it would come through. And that's how you know that you're a vessel and you're speaking for spirit. And, I think Jennifer, you spoke about like speaking for the mountain. I feel like my voice was really for Saint Germain and Portia and their union, and because that's what my story was about, was really meeting Saint Germain and being called by Saint Germain to come up and receive healing and come into balance with my own physical body, and for him to give an impression of the divine masculine, which I hadn't really ever experienced in my timeline,
Mm.
and that's what we're doing right now. And it's so, yeah, so you guys, both of you ladies have just like totally reignited my engines for sure, and just and sparked, yeah, so much joy and remembering that yes, we can face our challenges, but there's, I mean, where we're expanding into and what we're supporting in others is like so profound. And I want to, that's the role we all been put in right now, is to really hold space and how to do what we've done already individually to the collective. And um, man, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it coming through. Like I have no doubt now about, just what we're unfolding in this new earth, and people feeling the call and really needing guides, and stories like this to support that. So
I
I know
agree.
we're about at time. Like we started 11. I know
Beautiful.
we've got, but we should
So
definitely keep plugging. I want to just say that, like, I'm going to put the links once we finish the live in the comments below about how to join the launch party and meet all the authors, because there's 22 of us, or almost 19 to 22, something like that.
19. I'm not
There's
sure.
19 authors. So, like, can you imagine the gaggle of people you have resourcing you, for your experience? And then we're going to have a launch party we're welcoming you all to on 12/12. So, that's launch party, and the join the wait list to get the digital copy is going to be in the links. Um, yeah, I don't know. What else needs to be said, ladies?
Well, the book launches on 12/12. Did you just say that?
Please help me. Say it again.
On 12/12, which is Thursday.
Just Thursday. I know, right? Just 4 days from now.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited. 12/12.
Heck yeah, I know.
12.
Me too. We all pushed for it too.
Yeah.
They were going to push the date back, and we are like, no, we have to have it on 12/12. What about you, Tamara?
So the launch party is virtual, so wherever you're at, you could join. And as you said, Melanie, there's going to be most of the authors that can participate will be there, and there's gonna be live music, I think, as
Yes,
well.
right.
Yeah. And then the authors, I love this piece so much. The authors are having a private ceremony where we can connect, either in person or virtually as well, and really just give thanks and pay attention to like the energy that originally brought us there and to the
Mhm.
project. And so it is a sacred gathering, and I'm excited for all of it, all of it. Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. So much namaste, so much just like peace and, you know, heart listening and gratitude for what we're all doing and how spirit is guiding us all to come together in community to be these lights in the world. So, ah,
Mm.
till soon.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.